Up next on USALA Radio, presenting The Wall, a new show for parents and teenagers navigating through difficult topics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Edwin Desamore.
What's up, everybody? This is Edwin Desamore, and you're listening to The Wall, where we witness achievements through life lessons, live on USALA Radio. In the studio today, we have Eddie Lopez Jr. What's up, Eddie?
What's up? How you doing? Everything good?
Everything is great. Tatiana,
Hola.
welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
And we have a special guest in the studio. And the way I'm going to introduce this man, for folks who don't know, and I'm going to let you know how I feel about this gentleman. We actually have, in my opinion, a living legend in the studio. Very modest about it, but his name is Luis Gonzalez, also known by Suave. How you doing, Luis? Welcome.
I'm good. It feels good to be on this side.
Thank you for joining us. And we're going to speak a little bit about what you've been through, what you experienced, and who you are, and what you represent, and what you believe in. I'm very excited about this conversation we're about to have, and we have some young people who are tuning in to listen to you that I spoke to already, and I'm very excited for our folks in the studio to learn more about you, because I know they see you in passing, but do they really know who they're passing by and what you've experienced and what you've been through? So welcome, and I want to thank you for taking the time for joining us.
I'm honored to be here, man. Like, I think when you called me last night, I was like, it's my day off, but that's Edwin. I got to go. You know, because I always said it, man, that if I could do the work that I do, if I could die and come back, I want to be him. I mean, because he just do some great work with the youth. And I think it's important for those of us that's been out there in the game and out the game to acknowledge that.
Well, thank you.
Like, I don't look for superheroes and other people. I look for my own people, man. And you're a role model.
Oh,
so why not?
Thank you. Well, it's about encouraging each other. And also in the background, we have Chicken Hawk. Chicken Hawk just nodded. I just call him, but Chicken Hawk in the background. And the man that makes everything happen in the background, Dylan. If you could wave to our social media back there, Dylan, thank you for always making it happen. Elijah is going to be a little late. Elijah's taking a scholarship test for his school, so best of luck to my son Elijah. But he's trying to get down here as soon as possible to be a part of this conversation. And Taina is off in college. I believe she's been traveling down here to be a part of the show, so she's busy. She's out there, and we're very proud of her. You know, because we have young people doing things. When you really think about that, when you talk about the stereotypes, when you talk about everything else about the first thing many people, it's sad to say, many people think about, violence, prison, and matter of fact, speaking of Taina, not speaking of violence, prison, but Taina's here. She's walking into the studio right now. What's going on, Taina? Miss College girl, she's tired. But I was just on the topic about stereotyping, and sometimes the first thing everyone thinks about when it comes to young Latino people is violence, drugs, gangs, and stuff like that. And this young lady here is in college. What college are you in?
Wagner University.
Wagner. How is that so far? How's the journey?
School is stressful.
School is stressful, but it's work. And nothing in life is easy, right? I believe nothing great comes easy at all. So just to let you know, I'm very proud of you. And we have Tatiana, who's, this is your last year, am I correct? One more year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you're doing it.
Young bull.
She's doing it. And she's working, right? That Wawa life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wawa's okay.
Yeah.
And Eddie Lopez just graduated school and figuring out his options, but they're doing their thing. So very proud of these young people in the studio. And so we're going to move forward. Topic introduction, Tatiana. Topic introduction.
Okay. On the wall this week, we are going to be approaching a topic that may hit a nerve for some people. This week, we are going to be discussing if adults really do know best. What happens when adults are making decisions that impact many kids, but they are not making those decisions in the best interest of their kids. Instead, they are making the decisions in the best interest of themselves. Remember, the end of the show should be the beginning of your conversations. Do not be afraid to tear down the wall.
So remember, the end of the show should be the beginning of your conversation at home. But the topic, think about that. are adults making the best decision for their kids today, or adults making great or good decisions on behalf of our children, our youth, and our community? You know, can we trust that? And are those decisions based on our kids or self-interest? So we're going to push buttons today. We're going to go in. But I also want your opinion. I want you to speak your mind on how you feel about that. Or do you care? Because a lot of times people feel as though young people don't care, so people take advantage of it. And a lot of times people feel as though communities don't really care about themselves, so people take advantage of that. So we're going to be touching up on these topics. Please stay tuned. Stick with this with us, right? Because we're going to go we're going to have to laugh a little bit early before we dive into this, because it's really going to get serious. It really is going to get serious. And I asked Mr. Gonzalez, Luis Gonzalez Suave, to join us on this conversation because I think he's the best person to be at the table to talk about this issue. Because folks made a decision on his life. And we're going to talk about the outcome and what happened and why he does what he does. So, random question today. Eddie.
Would you rather always wear wet clothes or never shower again for the rest of your life?
Wet clothes.
Wet clothes. Why?
Because what do I look like stinking up places for the rest of my life?
So you will wear wet clothes every day for the rest of your life?
Yes. It could be damp. Does it have to be like soaked?
It says here, would you rather wear wet clothes and never shower?
So it
for the
has to
rest
be
of
like soap, probably.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just asking why.
No, yeah, I would definitely go with wet clothes. I'm sorry, I have OCD. I can't take being dirty. Nope. Not
Have you ever been in wet clothes and walked around?
Yes.
When you go to pool.
Yeah.
Okay, and after a while, if it stays wet, is it comfortable?
No.
No, but I'd rather be uncomfortable than stinking.
You're gonna stink regardless. Wet clothes gets
You're going to stink.
Nah, if you
the
keep
Spanish,
changing
the
it.
Spanish word is abombao. That's what I heard.
I know, but like,
Bombao. Okay.
you rather stink?
You're gonna stink regardless.
Nuh-uh.
So what do you choose?
When you take clothes out the washer, does it stink?
Sometimes if you leave it there too
And
long.
it dries.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why would I leave my clothes in there that long?
It's like
It doesn't say
long.
that. It just says wet. It doesn't say
Okay.
anything about staying inside of the dryer and smelling dirty.
Okay.
Okay.
Diana, what would you
getting a
pick?
little like all the technical with it.
I'm sorry. It's just no.
What would you pick, Diana?
I take like 7 showers a day, so I think I'm gonna have to go without the.
Okay. Wet clothes. Eddie?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a shower because I can't. My hygiene's too good to be.
Yeah.
You can
Not take a
use
shower.
the water of the wet clothes to take a shower.
See, look, that's smart. See, that's smart.
I just had a
That's
thought.
disgusting.
It's not just.
Wait,
well,
you said use the
use the water from the wet clothes. You squeeze it out and then use that water. You get soap and you take a shower.
All right.
That's smart.
But you just said that the Spanish word is abombao.
Yeah, well, if you don't
So
let
if
it
you
get
use
that
that
far,
water from wet clothes and them ropas are abombá, like they say in Puerto Rico, right? You are probably opening up yourself for all types of disease. In case you don't know.
well, if you don't take a shower, don't you-
Well,
Just
the
take
thing
it.
Right,
is,
wait,
either
it
wet
didn't-
clothes or take a shower.
It doesn't say that I can't take a shower and then put on wet clothes.
Right.
So either way, I'm gonna be clean
So-
with the wet clothes.
So now you're acting like a DA. Now you're trying to go into the technical
I'm
question
just saying,
of
I'm
the
just saying,
question.
I'm just-
That it doesn't say this, but we all know what that means, though.
yeah, there's always a loop.
Oh, there's always a loop.
Just
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
You watch too much Criminal
All right.
Minds.
Chicken Hawk, what would you pick?
So you watch too much Criminal Minds.
I really do.
Chicken Hawk will pick wet clothes. Why? Yeah, Chicken Hawk's one of those. He gotta take a shower when he gets home from school. First thing he has to do is hit the shower.
I like
That's what I do.
All right. I'm gonna totally go the opposite with y'all. Y'all gonna be surprised.
never take a shower again.
dirty.
I'm gonna be one stinking dude without taking a shower.
Oh my God! Don't
Good.
get close to me.
Listen, that's okay because I'm gonna be comfortable. I'm gonna be comfortable because there's no way in the world I can walk around with wet
You just
clothes.
want to be the oddball. That's why.
It's not that I want to be an oddball. I like to be comfortable. I'm to the point. It doesn't even have to be wet clothes. If I'm wearing a pair of pants or a shirt that don't feel good, I'm off
So,
the
all
whole
right,
day.
all right. So hold on. I have a question. for
I'm
you.
off the whole day.
What?
So I'm not worried about what you think about me. It's about my comfort. So basically, you guys are making decisions based on, everybody's going to be around you because they stink. I don't care about everybody else right now when it comes to that because I'm going to put up, when it gets cold outside and you got wet clothes on,
Well, you gonna be cold.
oh, you're going to be cold.
That's why
At
I feel like I
nighttime, when you want to sleep and you got wet clothes on and it's cold, you're gonna.
Oh,
At the end of the day, you can call me Funky Desimore, but one thing is, I'm gonna be comfortable. You might not be comfortable around me, but I'm gonna be walking around nice and dry.
I mean, eventually the clothes, if it's cold, the clothes is gonna dry on.
Right,
you.
that's what I was thinking.
well, and let's
No.
let's think about this
The
too.
question says, right? Would you rather wear wet clothes? This means every day.
Okay. And at night, when I'm sitting in the cold is gonna dry my clothes, and I'm put wet clothes on the next day.
And wait, hold up. We live in Philly, right? And it's hot. When it gets hot, it gets really hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're sweating and all that sweat is building up, and you can't even take a shower, and all that yellow whatever is, you know what I mean?
Gosh, it's killing me.
But I know.
So you're gonna feel uncomfortable because you're gonna be like,
Nobody's gonna wanna
you're gonna be
touch
like,
you.
and you're gonna be like,
You
dang,
can't
yo,
take
I
it
smell. I
away.
can't even sleep
You'll be
because
like,
I
"Oh, Dad."
stink.
All right.
Right.
Well, it sounds trifling, right? But this is what I go with because I want to be comfortable. I don't want to be going
How's
to the
that
movie theater
comfortable?
and sitting in the chair with wet clothes. I don't want to
You
be
could be
sitting on the
comfortable
couch.
with
I
wet
want to
clothes.
go eat something, and I don't want to be full of wet clothes. I don't want to be
You're
doing
not even
here
gonna
at
be
the
able to
show.
go in a restaurant because they're gonna be like, you stink.
Not really.
That's right. I'll take it to go.
I'll take it to go.
But you know what though? This comment. Wait, Chicken Hawk.
It says never shower. What about baths?
He looking for the loophole. He looking for the loophole. And you know what? I'm glad we're having this conversation because these are the things people say, man, these questions be silly, but technically it allows us to debate and argue, right? Because we have to make a decision on what we're going to do.
It can help
So
you in other
now,
situations.
but think about this. We start talking about technical stuff because now we're
Okay,
trying to
cool.
find a way out of it. We're looking for loopholes, right? These are the conversations that help us understand that. Imagine the bigger picture when people have to make a decision, and then you got 3 or 4 people thinking one way, then you got the other 4, and then you got the other 2 figuring out, man, well, I could find a loophole in this, right? And believe it or not, like for example, when you talk about a case, when somebody's convicted or something, some of the best lawyers I've ever met in my life are in prison, right? These guys go to the library, the law library, and they read stuff up, and guess what they will find? A loophole. They will find a technical way out of it because someone made a decision based on how they felt. Was it comfortable for them, or is it comfortable for other people? This sounds petty, but this sets us up, and it helps us practice on how to have dialogue and conversation. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I love the random questions, but why do you come up with something like this, right? But think about it. It starts the process of us talking and having a good time, because a lot of times today in the society today, people can't talk to each other. We have right now people in power that hate each other. They have to make decisions based on each other, right? And based on our community. But what happens is they don't like each other. They start arguing. Don't talk to me. I don't talk to you. Nothing gets done. This has happened all the way up to the top right now because everybody is disagreeing, but now they hate each other. Now they're disrespecting each other. And I posted this before. There's a big difference between disrespect and disagreeing. There's 2 big differences, and hopefully we're trying to show folks on how to respect each other.
You
on
know,
this.
this past week, last week, I went to an event in New York, and I was around like top millionaires. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Robert Smith, Shonda Rhimes. I mean, you name them. Anybody that's in that industry was there, right? And you can't believe the hate that they have for certain people. And I'm like, oh, all y'all here got over $1 million or more. But they're all hating each other. And I'm like, what's wrong with this picture, right? And what was wrong with it was the level of disrespect that people with money think they could get away with.
Wow.
And I'm like, you can't even do that in our neighborhoods, right? But when you look at it, this is the same level of respect that other people have for us. Because they look at us as little guys. They don't really mean nothing. The question that you ask, does parents know best? No. Sometimes they don't. And I say that because I went to prison when I was 16. And I could have got away with what I was accused of. And my mother turned me in because she thought she was doing the right decision. And it cost me 31 and a half years in prison out of a life sentence. And I forgave her, that's my mom. Nothing but love. But when I think about it,
I'll stop you right there. 31 years. He went away at the age of 16. 31 years. Just, this is way before you guys were born.
Yeah. And as I think about it today, I still ask myself, did she make the right decision, right? And I don't have the answer. Some days I'll be like, yeah, because I probably would have been dead. She would have never turned me in. But other days, I'm like, damn, 31 years and 85 days. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of time. I could have easily got away with it. But she was, like, mother know best. I know what I'm doing. Because she even told me, you only going to get 5 years. So to me, it's like sometimes the parents need to really have that conversation with their children and ask the children, what do they want? We see it right now with what's going on with the schools. All these adults making decisions for the children, but they never come to the children and ask them, what do y'all want?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because before we go on this break, I just want to say, walking into the studio, I didn't get a chance to tell the two young ladies, but talking with Eddie Jr., I said to him, listen, we're applying for another grant for the show. I said, but this time I want you guys included in the grant writing. We need to sit around a table, and we need to hear from you what ideas you have, that we should include in the show. Because at the end of the day, we're doing a show based on conversations between adults and young people, but I'm the one making the decisions. And I don't think that's fair. And, I could be like, well, I'm the one in charge, and, it's what I say. But I had to think about that. Like, am I really coming at the young folks and getting their input on this? I'm just telling y'all what to do. So, and the reason I'm bringing that up is that in the future, not just with me, with anybody, if you're part of something, always make sure you're at the table. Ask questions, and it's just a lesson learned. But anyway, we're going to dive into the weekly update, and once we get into that, we're going to dive into that once we come back from a commercial break. So please stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. You're listening to The Wall on USALA Radio.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps.
Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
$150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to The Wall, where we witness achievements through life lessons on USALA Radio. What's up next on The Wall? Weekly update. Elijah.
In September, the Federal Drug Administration found low levels of cancer causing chemical and Zantac and over-the-counter medicine for heartburn. GlaxoSmithKline, the company who manufactures the drug, recalled it a month ago when this information became public. Most companies who sold the drug pulled it off of their shelves voluntarily, but one company is continuing to sell it. Sanofi, the company continuing to sell the drug, says that they haven't pulled it yet because even though there are levels of a cancer-causing chemical, the levels are low and they aren't any higher than we see in our foods. They say that at this point they have no reason to believe that the drugs are unsafe yet.
Wow. So do you think Sanofi, the company still selling the drugs, is acting dangerously? Why or why not? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
Let's give it to the OG.
I think they are. I mean, because if you know something is dangerous to the masses of people and you're still putting it out there, you should be held responsible.
Wow. So this scenario is played out. This is not one scenario, right? This is not one. I don't even want to say scenario. This is not one issue, right? This happens all the time.
This happens all the time with everything in life. You know, you got big companies, big corporations that they know something is not working or it's bad for the health of people, but because of that capitalism, they want to put it out. They don't care. It's the same thing with the prisons. You know, with the prison system, we know that mass incarceration don't work, but we know that there's a big profit out there. So why not put browns and black people in them cages?
Wow.
So it goes deeper than what it is. You know, on the surface, it might seem like a company putting out bad products, but when you go deep into it, it's corporations.
It's pretty deep when you think about that, because you guys are trusting pharmacies when you go to pharmacies. Am I correct? You believe that once you go to a pharmacy, it's safe. Mm-hmm. Right? Do you ask questions walking out? I wonder if this is dangerous. You actually believe and trust that this is safe for you. He mentioned...
and most people don't read the medication that they get to see if it's outdated or not.
Yeah.
On my way here, a lady, I think she was hired or something. She was on Frankfurt just dancing around. We were about to drive off. She jumps in the middle of the street. She lays down right in front of the car. And so we're over here like... She was over here doing all these moves, like spinning on the ground and waving her arms. And then she... At one point, like, some lady gets out of her car to make her move. She just gets up and she goes back to the sidewalk, dancing around, leaving her purse on the ground and stuff.
And God knows what she took. We might be in an assumption she's on some type of opioid or drug out there in the streets, but what if she took the wrong medication? We don't know, but it's easy to assume that question. Now, Mr. Lewis mentioned prison. I just want to ask you guys a quick question. Did you ever hear about a scam of judges who were sending kids to juvenile facilities or to jails because they were getting a kickback of money for sending kids to jail.
I only heard it one time. It was on the news. That was the only one time.
First of all, what comes to your mind when you hear something like that?
Wait, so
It's called Kids for Cash.
Kids for cash. So kids were going for, it could be a regular case, right? It could be, something that could be like, let's send them at home, put them on a monitor,
a lot of them were
probation.
A lot of them were just kids getting suspended from school.
Yeah.
That their mother couldn't handle at home, so they was placing them in these facilities.
These private, they were private.
Private facilities, and the judges were sending them to these private facilities for money. So every kid that they sent to a private facility, the judges would get a kickback from that facility. And some of the kids, as they grew up, committed suicide. They were so traumatized by the process that some of them committed suicide. Some of them end up moving from the juvenile facilities to state prisons. All because people was making decisions for them.
And money.
And money.
That shows how much, how far people will go for just a couple dollars.
Yes.
And we think about that, right? When you really think about that, you're like, wow, that's messed up.
But I don't mean to cut you off. Think about the question. Does parents know best? Because a lot of these kids was being taken to them judges, like, do something with him. I can't handle that kid. So it goes back to that question. Do parents know best?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and are we holding people accountable? But I really want to get at, for those who are listening to the show and watching the show also on social media, we can sit back and say, wow, that's messed up. And that's it, and go on with our lives. But then again, how do we look into something like this to make sure something like this never happens again? Because it can happen to you. This is the big thing I want to talk about. The things that are going on, we talk about these drugs that cause cancer. So, did you hear it happen to this person? Did you hear this happen to these kids? Did you hear this? And we're always saying that until it hits and knocks on our door. Until it's either your brother. And you can sit there and argue, my brother's a good kid. I don't know how he ended up in this facility, and you're crying and you're demanding help, right? But no one's coming to your side, not even a community, because everybody's thinking, well, I'm going to remain silent about this because it has nothing to do with me. But nobody's paying close attention to that. When that type of stuff hits the news, for some reason, and I'm not protesting against partying because, I feel as though our peoples need to get out. They're under a lot of stress. But we pay more close attention to the party coming up this weekend than to what's going on and what's being done to our community and to our kids. So I'm hoping that the basis of this show is that we could start waking people up. Because the only thing we ever do all the time is like, oh, it's messed up that happened. Sorry for what happened. Instead of saying, how can I get involved? How do we need to mobilize as a people to stop these tragic things from happening? Because sometimes we just put trust in one person or a group of people to make these decisions. And sometimes, a lot of times, like say, if, for example, if Lewis got it, if we could go back in time, can you imagine a community coming around to help mom make that decision? Okay, let's talk about how we go about this and make sure that he gets the support. But it's pretty much, you have a mom that was on her own with no real experience on how to deal with that, and how many moms are caught up in that. I don't know if you know that there was a study one time, they said Latino children get more time than any other race.
Yep.
More time, and they found out the reason for that because mothers didn't know, they only spoke Spanish. They didn't know how to, they didn't understand what was being talked about or what deals were being made about their child. They were just told, sign this and he's going to be fine. The next you know, this kid touches the system and they're in the system almost for the rest of their lives, making poor choices because mom didn't know how to advocate. It's playing off of people's ignorance and what's going on. So basically, I'm really trying to push buttons right now, especially off of you guys. You're young. You're in college. I know people right now. I knew people who were in prison who were in college because of one poor, bad decision or mistake. Everything was thrown away and they were sentenced away, and everyone's fighting. Like, wait a minute. Like, how can this be? Eddie Jr., your dad came to the aid of one of the kids I work with. I'm not going to say his name, but there was a kid that I work with, never been to prison.
And I know
never touched the prison system, right? African-American young man, right? Was in college, was in community college. I worked with him for years through the school, all the way up into the college component. He got into a fist fight at a playground, right? The fist fight where someone ended up getting knocked out. Now, fights happen, and it got out of control with a bunch of kids fighting. But because the other side had political pool, they had money.
Yep.
3 months later, he was arrested, held without bail. Without bail. Right? Over somebody getting knocked out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see people getting knocked out all day long on Instagram. You know, and them things they put up. But he was held without bail, and it broke my heart to go visit him in the prison, to see him in a jumpsuit, and you could see his face was broken. Like, how did this happen? How did I end up here? Your father, and I had to rally up a few people to come and help, you know, advocate for this kid. And we advocated to the point where we was like, yo, give him bail at least. He's been in there for a minute. And then they gave him a high bail, so we had to do what we had to do to get him out from the bail. And when we got him out, that family went and advocated again and put him back in prison again. And guess what happened? They tried to give him a lawyer. And this lawyer that we never heard of came down and said, I'm his lawyer, and told us we want him to plead guilty to a felony and we'll get him out. And I remember his father, who was a police officer, said, hell no. What you mean plead guilty to a felony? I said, well, we can get him out. He was like, no, do you know what a felony would do to a black young person?
Yep.
You know, like, you know, we need to work our way around that. But he didn't plead guilty to it, but he ended up spending almost close to 2 years in prison before he got home. And to this day, as much as I love this kid, you could tell it's not the same anymore, how the system broke him. But how many of our kids end up jammed up without having maybe other people to run around and advocate
thousands
for them?
and thousands. And this go back to what I always say, like, if you're in the community, man, know your rights. Know who your state rep is. Know who your state legislators is. Know who the state senator is. Know who your council people is, your block rep. Because when you don't know your rights, they can mess you up. They can mess you around. And especially in the legal system, they got a saying that not knowing the law don't excuse your crime. What that really means is that since you don't know, we're just going to have you sign a piece of paper.
Sure. All right, we're going to go into a commercial break.
We just gonna sign a piece of paper and railroad you. And by the time you get to know what they've done, you got 15, 30 years in. They offered me 5 years. 5 years. I already had like 3 years before I went to trial. But because I was illiterate, I didn't know how to read and write, I didn't understand law, I said, nah, I want to go to trial because this is what everybody in the jail was telling me. And I ended up serving life. And the only reason I'm out of jail today is because the Supreme Court ruled that you can't put a juvenile in jail for life. That's the only reason. Other than that, I probably would have died in prison.
We're going to come right back to that. Thank you for sharing that. Please stay tuned. You're listening to The Wall, where we witness achievements to life lessons on USALA Radio. Sorry, bro. What happened? Somebody's car blocking the driveway? Yeah. Okay. Okay,
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
Regresando a la escuela, sí tenía miedo. No sabía si iba a poder hacerlo. Una de las maestras que está ahí es la señora Araceli. Ella siempre tomaba su tiempo ayudándome a mí. 50% es entrando por la puerta, el otro 50% es haciendo el trabajo. Nunca es muy tarde para obtenerlo.
Encuentra clases gratis para adultos cerca de ti en completatudiploma.org.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Edwin Desmore, and you're listening to The Wall, where we witness achievements through life lessons. Only on USALA Radio. All right, now, we took a long break because one of our folks, I won't say her name, Tatiana, had private parking. She had VIP. She had
it
VIP.
It wasn't even just me. It was Taina
Well,
too.
we had folks that...
Oh, y'all snitching now?
Listen. Oh, my
I
God.
love you. I love you, though.
You know,
how you love her?
They felt as though this is the wall and we get VIP parking, but they were checked early.
I know, and there was construction outside, so where else was I supposed to park?
Well, anyway, what's up next on the wall, Eddie Lopez Jr.? What's up next on the wall?
All right, we're doing... Yo, stop playing with me. All right, we're doing ethical dilemmas. All right. So we have a similar ethical dilemma in the past week, but this week, in connection with our topic, we are revisiting an oldie because it will help jumpstart our main topic. You are standing on some railroad tracks and you notice a runaway train coming quickly down the tracks. You see it's heading towards 5 workers who cannot hear it coming. Even if they do spot it, they won't be able to move out of the way in time. As this disaster comes closer, you look down and see a lever connected to the tracks. You realize that if you pull the lever, the train will change directions and go a second set of tracks away from the 5 unsuspecting workers. However, down this side track in one lone worker, just as oblivious as colleagues, you have to choose: leave the train, go in its current direction, and let it kill 5 people, or pull the lever so it kills only 1 person. Big question is saving 1 life more important than saving the lives of many?
Wow. It's very difficult there. But these are the decisions that are placed on people's laps every day, you know. You guys even looked uncomfortable thinking about it.
Wait.
I knew there was a catch.
Right.
Let me bring some logic. Right. So, in the question, right? I mean, well, yeah.
Oh, you about to get real technical with this.
That the 5 unsuspecting workers are up the tracks. And if they see the train, it's still going to hit them. But when it says if they change direction on the second tracks, the other worker is down the tracks. It doesn't say that if he looks at it, he can't get out of the way. I'm just saying you could probably switch it and also tell the person.
So you're saying there's a better chance in gambling to try to save the 1 worker?
No, I'm saying switching it, but you could also yell and save the one worker.
Yeah, just like it might not work, but you thinking give it a shot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie,
let me just get real. I'm gonna get real technical with it. This actually happened in real life, and it was actually vice versa. So instead of saying 1 person, that 1 person was his kid, and he chose to save the people in the train that was going by, and he changed the tracks, so it killed his kid because his kid was stuck under the track. So it killed his kid. So he chose to save many people than his own son.
Okay. Anybody else?
I
scared?
don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say for this one.
You know, what would you do? You put in that position. What would you do? You don't know.
Knowing me, I'll probably just freeze up and
and then everybody just die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll panic.
I'm surprised you're not saying that. You're very vocal about things and opinionated. Like, why are you scared to touch this now? You can't be that tired. Now, I'm interested to hear Diana, because go ahead, Diana.
Work.
Never.
I know.
Anyway, I think.
Oh, she just looked like Chum for a second.
Make sure you hold it close.
I think I would have to go with killing the 1 person. Going what Elijah said, I'd rather switch the tracks and have the 1 person, try to get the 1 person move out the way.
Get the person move out the way. All right, Mr. Suave.
I just got a question, can I?
Yeah.
Would either one of y'all sacrifice your life?
Yeah.
100%.
Just to save a few more people?
Cause think about it, you know how many children's in there. You know how many people that have families and stuff.
But I'm talking about in general. I know,
that's what I'm saying.
Will you sacrifice your life to save 4 or 5 strangers?
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have 5 children depressed instead of 1? If you really think about it.
What?
Or 5 families depressed instead of 1. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. So like if if whoever
I hear what you're saying.
is
Let's
the
say-
five is
let's say
out of the
each
five, and then
person.
their kids are depressed. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
But in real life, I think that this goes to your belief and your principles.
Yeah.
Period. You know, because that's, you know, you reading off of paper, but that really happens in different ways in life. That really happens. I know a person that's serving life sentence right now for a crime he did not commit because he did not want his mother and sister to end up in prison. So he took the case. And people that know about the case know he ain't do it.
Sorry, Mom. You going to jail. I'm just
You
saying
know.
right now. Mom, you listening? You do
So-
something, you going to
so
jail.
these
Alita,
are-
my
these-
sister, y'all going to jail.
These
I'm
are
not going to
questions
jail.
and scenarios that young people really need to ask themselves. Because we in the streets. You know, a lot of people want to be in the streets
Yeah.
till it get hot. And sometimes, you know, can you hold some water? And I know we was playing around when they say, oh, you snitching now, right? But that gets very real when you get locked up. You know, that gets very real. Some people like to be out here playing with these guns, shooting innocent people, letting them bullets fly. But when you get arrested,
they'll fight you for that mic.
When you get arrested,
they'll fight you for the mic.
We don't have enough mics in this studio for them to shut the hell up. Most people end up in prison because they don't know how to keep their mouth shut. Because I guarantee, and I'm not trying to advocate for people to commit crimes, and I'm playing the fifth, right? All I'm saying is that if you ever in a situation where you end up in the police station, shut up. Don't answer nothing. Don't sign nothing. Get me a lawyer. And if you underage, I want my mother or father to be in the room.
And even with that, you still
Right.
want a lawyer.
Shut up.
And it's funny you say that. Listen to this. It's funny. I'm glad Louis brought this up. Right. Think about this. Right. Have you ever heard an adult say they know what's best? Have you ever heard that? I'm at talk to the kids. Right. Have you ever heard that? Yes or no? You nodded. People can't hear you.
Yeah.
You all right? Or have you ever heard an adult say, "I make the decisions because you're only a kid."
Yes. I heard that so many times.
It happens all the time.
It happens all the time, right? Okay. Listen up. A decision has been made about what to do with two large schools in Philadelphia. Together, these two schools serve over 2,000 students and have a lot of special services in place that help and support the students, their families, and the neighborhood. The school district of Philadelphia is a failing district who had to give these two schools up for the first time because they could not find a way to get them to improve. Under the school district of Philadelphia, both of these schools were named on the list of the most dangerous schools in the United States. In 2017, 3 of the schools still on the most dangerous schools list were from the school district of Philadelphia. The same schools, the same adults in charge of these failing schools have to decide whether these two schools get to stay open. Think about that, right? Right? Stetson and Alany. I'm gonna put it out there. Stetson and Alany, right? So now listen, right? These adults, right, have not visited either of the schools in the past 4 years. Some even claiming publicly they have come in when they have not, right? Voted without allowing either of the schools to present any information or positive outcomes that have occurred in the past 4 years. Ignored students who came to speak up for their schools. Ignored parents who came up to speak for their schools. 3 of them even stated that they felt torn, sick to their stomach, and conflicted before voting to end the school's charter. Did they know they were wrong? Do you think the adults in this school district of Philadelphia made the best decision for 2,000 students at these schools? Why or why not? I'm asking kids this.
My mom works there, so... my mom works there, so, like, my mom called me the other day. She was like, well... I know she was joking, but she's like, well, I'm going to be without a job, this and there. So, like, my mom can't be without a job. Like, she got 2 other kids. Like, me, I can take care of myself, but, yeah, my mom can't be without a job. So.
Okay. Tatiana? You talking to your mic.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to respond to that. Like, I mean, I feel as though if they know that they're gonna put more kids out on the street, especially because there's a lot of kids already that don't want to continue going to school, this is just gonna give them more ammo to just be like, oh well, I'm just not gonna go back to school. And then there's people that are still working and that need to provide, of course, like Diana's mom. Like, I feel like that's.
Well, let me ask you something. There's this little saying: don't ask somebody for directions who's never been there. Right? There's people out here quick to want to give you advice that have never experienced or dealt or stepped up to the plate. Now, I just read out on how these folks who made a decision based on 2,000 kids' lives and families, but they felt uncomfortable with it. They felt as though they didn't know what to do. And also, they wanted to point out little things, but they're failing all the way around. Stetson Middle School was on the top dangerous list in America, the only middle school. I believe there was maybe one more, but it was taken off when I stepped in, right? But for some reason, they wanted to pull the schools out using certain mistakes that were made, but those mistakes were redone. What I mean by that, folks stepped up and, hey, you wanted to clear some stuff up, we did this and this and that. But no, folks wanted to pull the plug. I think it was something a little bit bigger, but we could talk about that a little bit more.
I just want to say this, man, that the same movement that removed the governor in Puerto Rico should be taking place in Philadelphia right now.
Almost definitely.
You know, to keep them schools open. Because what's going on is that every time a school in our community is doing bad and somebody stepped in and improve it, the state always want to come back 2-3 years later talking about, well, we want to take it back because we could do better. Now that y'all fixed the problem, because that's what y'all did. Believe it or not, it still might be on the list as one of the most dangerous middle school. But if you go into the school, you have people that care about the students. You have people that really want to educate the students versus before, where it was just buck wild. So to me, you know, the young people in our city that's being affected by them decisions should come together and shut them people down. We have that power. Believe it or not, we have the power to shut them people down.
And the community has that power.
And the community has that power. If the community don't step in, it's going to keep happening more and more. But again, it's up to the young people now to get together and say, you know what, we ain't going for this. If you take these schools back from the people that's running it right now, which we think they're doing a great job, we don't even want to hear it. And I guarantee you, man, things would change. But it's up to the people. We need that movement. Our community.
That community is hurting right now.
Yeah, but they still, you know, I understand about the hurt, but they still need to come together because it's about our future.
No, most definitely. What I'm saying is,
how the hell we supposed to send more people like her to college if you messing up our schools?
No. And at the end of the day, we have a community that's already under siege with all the opioid epidemic and everything else is have you ever drove down Allegheny to see what it looks like, The Walking Dead, what our kids have to experience every day? That school is the only place that stands there right now that gives these kids a safe place to be so they could grow and learn. Remove that, you really damage. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back.
It's not only damage. You remove that. What you're doing is created a pathway to prisons for these young kids.
Exactly.
To expose them to the elements of our streets. Because now when they hit the streets, now you open for a case.
Yeah.
You know, so the community needs to get involved. You know, the same way these politicians and these people in power are fighting for these safe injection sites, we should be fighting for these schools.
So,
the same way.
So how is it that they're fighting for safe injection sites but not for safe schools?
I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing, if the young people get together, we could get that answer.
Okay, so
you know,
our speed as appealing this, and they got to take it to the state. Can you imagine thousands rallying up to head down Harrisburg to make a statement?
You know, I say that our community entrepreneurs, they got these businesses in the school, sponsor a bus trip up there, and let's get all these kids that's being affected and their parents and let's bust them up to Hasbro and see how that's going to look.
And to be honest, too, also, we still got to hold each other accountable, too.
Yes, we do.
We still got to hold each other accountable. So we got to fix a few things within ourselves, because we got to fix what's going on with us before we move forward. So we're going to be talking about those things. We're going to be setting up meetings down the line. Elijah, you have something to say about this?
Yes. All right. They're talking all this, saying that the school's bad, right? They putting it on the list. Now they want to fix it when it's already been fixed, but what have they been doing when it actually needed to be fixed? So the matter of fact that they want to take this out, it has nothing to do for the kids or the teachers or the staff. It has to do with either the money or looking good. Because they haven't done anything beforehand to help, and they're still not doing anything afterwards to help. They're just making things worse and worse by each second.
So what do you think as a young person? What is the solution? What do they have to sit back and look at?
What they really have to sit back and look at is how well it's actually been going. Because they looking at the past. They looking at the bad stuff that actually happened. But they're not looking at the good people who have repaired it and fixed up that stuff. Instead, they're focusing on some dumb mistakes that happened how long ago?
About 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly. They're going to use that as an excuse. So they could look good? Money? What's going on there?
It's always about money. It's always about politicians and people that when they see these bad schools, they turn them into charters so other people could come in, fix them up, make them look good, and then 2-3 years later they come back. Well, y'all did a mistake with admission. Y'all don't keep records, right? But if you compare the record to what that school was before the people that was there to what it is now, oh my God, it's like a step up here.
Look.
But now they want to come in and say, y'all made a technical mistake. We want our schools back. The state want it back. Come on, man. This is about money. This is about a slap to the community. They took care of that school for the last 4 or 5 years. This is about the future of our kids. And if our community don't come together and stand with them 2,000 kids, then we might as well get here and say, you know what? We don't matter. We don't matter. It's the same movement that removed that governor in Puerto Rico should be mobilizing right now in Philadelphia to stop that.
I totally agree. Before we end the show, go ahead, Elijah.
All right.
Sorry.
I have another thing that... Take my dad, for example. I go to a Catholic school. He is a dean for 7th grade at a charter school. He was there on Valentine's Day, staying late, so he could help 7th grade boys get over girls. Think about that. How much you would have to care to stay after school when you know you could just get out of there right now. Go to Wendy's and then head home. But he stayed there, patting them boys on their backs while they was crying. In my school, if that happened, they'll say, it don't matter. Go get back to class. Nobody care.
Well, I just want to say this quote of the day.
Who's your dad?
This man right here.
There will always be a turning point in one's life. Where will you be forced to be? There will always be a turning point in one's life where you will be forced to make a decision based on facts and not fantasy. All right? Just want to say this. I want to thank you, Mr. Lewis Wild. I hope you come back again, join us.
Anytime.
And I wish we had more time. But folks, think about what we rally up for. Because if we line up to go to a club to see a singer, a reggaeton singer, or line up to go for a gala, we should be able to line up to fight for our children and our kids. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.